talent.
So, hello everybody. I know we have a fairly international flavour to our audience today, which is always good. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. I'm Alan Walker, your host for today. And you probably know me as that noisy chap on LinkedIn, the handsome one with the beard and glasses. But joking aside, that's enough of me. Welcome to chat talent number 3, how AI helped me to become a better recruiter. And the me in that title isn't myself, it's Richard Brown from Advanced Resource Managers, who's joining us today to tell us about his experience of using a piece of AI-powered technology called Pocket Recruiter. Just to be clear, today isn't going to be a demo. It's not a sales pitch. You're not going to see Pocket Recruiter in action. But after the event, we will shoot out a couple of emails to people just in case that is something you'd like to do. What today is about is hearing from a real-life recruiter, Richard, who has had hands-on experience of a tool that's using elements of artificial intelligence, specifically machine learning, to improve a recruiter's ability to do their job. And we're not going to get into a deep conversation about AI itself either today. That's a much bigger topic for another day. But we will hear how a piece of genuinely next-generation recruitment technology with machine learning at the heart of it has made a massive difference to a recruiter and to his team and his business. Richard will kick off with a short presentation. I'll then ask him some questions to warm him up, and then we'll go to the audience and cover off some, or possibly all if we have time, of your questions. And if you have any questions, the best way for these to be heard are by submitting them through the Q&A button at either the bottom or the top of your screen, depending on which device you're using, not via the chat option. So we'll try and get through as many of those as we can, but we will absolutely, and my promise to everyone is we will be wrapping up on time, which will be 2:45 the next hour, so 2:45 for those of you in the UK. If there are any questions we don't get time to answer, we'll follow up with people who ask them after the event. And so without further ado, let's crack on. Richard, the virtual stage is yours, my friend. Can we hear you first?
I hope so. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. We can. Absolutely. So I'll go on to mute and leave you to it.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, just a brief introduction. I'm Richard Brown. I'm a recruitment manager of the automotive sector within Advanced Resource Managers. I've worked with business for just under 7 years. Always been worked and focused on the automotive sector. So it's sort of my little bubble, my own little world. And other than that, just massively jealous of Alan's beard. Can't grow one like that, a bit jealous. So, on to topic. So, I guess this all came about when, as a business, we were reviewing with an independent expert, where we could really improve as a business. What could we do to improve efficiencies, really, kick on from being a good recruitment business to an outstanding, world and industry leader. So we had a sit down, we had an independent guy come in, started reviewing what we were doing as a business, sitting down with our staff, looking at various aspects of the role and the process followed to recruit. There was one key thing that came from this, and that was up to 50% of consultants' time was wasted on habitual, sort of ineffective searching and various tasks, just trawling through CV database, reviewing irrelevant CVs. So it's a key aspect that we saw needed to be changed. Great then for reasons to go to the board and say, right, we need to look at something different. And a key topic at the time were AI and matching software. So we trialed 10 separate matching engines in total, all tested with the same vacancy, 46 various candidates that had applied for the role. They'd obviously been placed, interviewed and rejected. So all of these different machine learning pieces of software had been tested with the exact same role. So we wanted to see exactly how it would then compare against the real recruiter that had filled that job and the other piece of software. At this time, there's only really one that really stood out, and the clear favourite at this point was Pocket Recruiter. One of our long-serving managers, Luke Dunford, ran the trial on various matching engines. I still remember the following day, to be honest, the excitement and sort of disbelief at how good this piece of kit was. I guess everyone had been caught up in the old school Boolean way of searching for so long that a lot of us on the floor hadn't really considered anything else. The business were convinced that Pocket was the way forward. This is the one we wanted to really trial and test. So we needed to do this in a live environment in the real world. And this is, I guess, where my team came in. Pocket was really developed using IT recruitment in the IT sector. And with advanced resource managers being a leader in technical and IT engineering, we needed to ensure that it could learn an entirely different sector, a different world, if you like. So at this point, an 8-week trial was decided, providing 10,000 automotive CVs. And the co-founders of Pocket Recruiter came over, spent a week with my team, showing them how to use it, how to refine the searches, and really just kick on and really get to know the system before we started the trial. To give a really simple description of what you can do with Pocket Recruiter, you simply upload a job spec. Based on this, it will automatically understand what's required for the use of online descriptions, blogs, websites, and search your own internal database as well as a job board, job site, and pull back results based on suitability with grading. And just one second, let me see if I can get the presentation up. 2 moments. Can everyone see this? So Pocket Recruiter, you can highlight certain things within the spec that are probably more important than other areas. You have a job description for a vacancy that one business may be looking for a certain thing, with another business they may be looking for something else or certain skills. So you can highlight key parts within the job description that are really applicable for the role that you're working at the moment. The other key part that I guess once you've selected a few candidates, it then reruns the search based on the profiles that you've matched and looks for key similarities and experiences between those CVs to then look for new matches. And it takes more notice of the candidates that are then marked as getting reviewed for interview, get to offer stage, and even starting the role. So the more and more data that's put through Pocket Recruiter and the more people and data it's given, the more accurate it then gets. And this is where we really started to see the cultural matching come in as well. Matches that, although perhaps may not have had quite as much experience as other matches, but they had similar degrees as other candidates, worked for similar companies or across different industries, they were starting to come to the forefront of the matches. And when comparing these to, I guess, some of the other people that were working within those business sectors on LinkedIn, they were starting to come up with similar backgrounds to those individuals as well. The other really, really cool feature for this is a feature whereby, let's say you're a business with multiple vacancies, or you're an agency recruiter and you've got multiple clients looking for the same thing. While you've got that candidate on the phone and the candidate profile's up, you click on a match button and it will show you all of the other vacancies within your business that are loaded on Pocket Recruiter that are good for that candidate. It'll also give them a grade in terms of how good they are for that job, and match little segments of the spec and say, right, well, this guy's got an 80% match for CATIA as a design software. He's spent 2 years doing it within this period. So while you're on the phone live speaking to candidates, you can go for an array of jobs rather than having one conversation to qualify them, going away, then having another call, calling back. So you can imagine the amount of time this would save in that field. Great piece of kit. So we had an 8-week trial that started in January and ran through to March time. And in that time, I guess we wanted to see what impact it will have on the team, on the business, but also how easy it was to pick up and use, especially within the new industry sector. So within that time, I'm just going to slip onto a slide which goes through some of the results from that 8-week trial. The CVs that were sent out by my team over that 8-week period were 52% higher than the previous 8 weeks. Interviews were up by, again, 24%. Again, slightly lower because of the time to churn from CVs before they're called for interview. Quite surprisingly as well, hours on the phone were up 40%. Now, this is quite a big increase. We're expecting a bit of an increase, getting to candidates a bit quicker, but not quite 40%. And I think the reason for this is we were able to get to candidates quicker, but get through more vacancies as well, which also meant, as you can see, the candidate calls went up by 26% as well. So all amazing stats, and we were a bit blown away, to be honest. So at this point, I guess the board were very excited, they'd got a glimpse of what could be done, and then rolled it out to the entire business from sort of March time. So we've now been running with it in the business, and my team have had it now for 8 months in total. And I guess now we're in a position where it's really sort of taken hold of itself. It's got a lot of data in. We've made a lot of placements through Pocket Recruiter now. So it's got a lot more data to make decisions and bring matches back on. It's also given us now a lot more time freed up to spend on social media platforms. So whereas before it may take 4 or 5 hours to go through our own internal database, we're then searching through job boards, then searching through LinkedIn. Pocket's taking the job spec, going out, finding the best candidates across job site and our own internal database, mixing them up together, but bringing out the best of those. So we're getting through those a lot quicker, meaning we can then spend a bit more time on LinkedIn, building their profiles and their name within the market on social media platforms as well. So that's another area we've seen quite a big change in uptake, and also where consultants are spending their time. So the actual trial went really well. We're quite keen to move forward with it. So I guess you're wondering, after a trial, now we've been using it for sort of 8 months' time, how's it compare now, and where are we now? And I'm going to give you a comparison of half year one for us, which is March to September, the first 6 months of our financial year. This is a comparison between March to September 2016 and March to September 2017. So the same period this year to same period last year. Now, a key thing to point out, I guess, with this is the bit in the middle, and that's how many job requirements that we took on during that time. Last year, we took on 270 requirements. Those are jobs that my team worked. And this year, we took on 207. So quite a large percentage lower, I guess, because we could be a bit more selective. But the interesting thing is placements, permanent placements within that period were 26 last year. And this year we've seen an increase of 15% with the exact same staff numbers as well within the team, up to 30. And again, on contract placements, slightly higher. We made 54 contract placements in that period last year. And even with less requirements, same staff numbers within the team, we've seen an 18% increase up to 63. So I think this is a number of reasons, and it's not just down to placements all made through Pocket, but I think Pocket Recruiter has been the key catalyst, because it means that searching those core functions in job boards and our own database has been done in one hit. It means we get to the best people quicker and allows us more time to spend on other areas and look into other techniques and coach our teams. So we've seen some really positive results, and I was genuinely surprised that a piece of kit could move on and develop and pick up different placements and skills and knowledge, and make decisions based on it, because you've naturally seen it evolve and bring back different types of results as the months have gone on. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an overview of what's happened over the last 8 months and how we've used Pocket. So I'll open it up to Alan's questions and the rest of the field, if there's anything specific that you want to talk about.
Yeah, thank you for that, Richard. That's great. Great piece of insight. And I think it's pretty amazing in terms of some of the results you've already seen. And you're still learning, I guess, how to get the very best out of the tool as well. Anybody who knows me knows I'm very passionate about candidate experience, and in particular improving candidate experience, whether it's with agencies or direct hiring teams. I think there's a lot of work to be done here. In your mind, what effect does Pocket Recruiter or any similar tool, in fact, have on the experience of the candidate?
To be honest, one of the main things is probably that they get a more relevant conversation a lot more of the time. I guess the consultants now are a lot more confident that the candidates they're getting, especially when it's a new requirement that we get through that when maybe we don't get as often, we know it's going to be a good match, and we know that the result's good. So for the candidate, it's probably going to be a lot more relevant and have a lot less irrelevant conversations with recruiters. The other side of it is the little tool I mentioned earlier, where it will bring back other matches. You know, candidates that are you know, at work while recruiters are calling them. If a recruiter's calling about a job, they qualify that candidate. They're then going away, finding out there's more jobs that they have that may be suitable. They're then calling back again, following up. It's a lot of time and interruption. So being able to get everything done and have a good quality conversation the first time round, I think that's an important change that we've seen as well.
Okay, excellent. So in your mind, it's a positive impact that it's having, because the conversations are far improved, and there's less of those kind of wasted conversations where recruiters are talking to candidates who are completely inappropriate or blatantly not going to be interested. Okay. What kind of stands out for you in terms of the key advantages of using Pocket Recruiter, above and beyond the stats?
Beyond the stats, I think it's changed the way I guess I've looked at recruiting staff for my team going forward is one thing, because before, the amount of time I'd have to invest in training staff and bring them up to speed, huge, and it's a big chunk out of, you know, the first few months of their career. Whereas now, you know, one of the biggest part about training a new consultant isn't just about conversation and qualification. It's about teaching them how to run the right searches and bring back the relevant search results. So knowing that bit's done is a massive weight off my mind. But the other advantages, I think, are speed and relevance. You know, especially in a competitive market with agency recruitment, especially, you're in a position where you're confident that you're going to get to the right people the quickest. So that's probably the biggest thing, as from a recruitment point of view, but also from a hiring point of view and management.
And what limitations do you see with it at the moment?
Limitations? I would say limitations, but I guess there are certain skill sets and roles where you have to spend a bit more time. Just an example, and I appreciate this won't apply to everyone, but if, let's say, for example, you have a skill set that's used across multiple disciplines, it's used in multiple roles, it will take a bit longer to sort of tweak your search and find those relevant people. And it can become quite frustrating, like you would a Boolean search, to then get to the right results. But I guess the benefit of the machine learning piece is, as soon as you've had that role a couple of times and it knows what it's looking for, it then finds it. So I wouldn't say, you know, it's a disadvantage or limitation, but there are parts of it that you just do have to invest some time in, and you're not going to see like an instant turnaround. As soon as you plug it in, it's going to then, you know, fill every one of your jobs, because it just won't happen.
And I guess the more it's done in a particular role type, the smarter it is in that particular space. And if something's brand new, it's going to take a little bit longer for it to learn. So one of my questions was going to be, how quickly does the tech learn? But it's almost, you know, how long's a piece of string, depending on what's already in there, I guess, and what it's done previously. What, in your mind, will AI, or even specifically Pocket Recruiter, will it turn a poor recruiter into a good one? Or a good recruiter into a great one?
It can help turn a good recruiter into a great one. It definitely can't turn a poor recruiter into a good one. And I'm sure every recruiter gets quite defensive when they see the LinkedIn posts about how pointless and easy recruitment is. And it's, you know, a good recruiter is more than just matching and finding good people. It's about building relationships. But in terms of you know, speed and relevance and finding the right people, it is going to help whether they're a poor or good recruiter, it's going to help that individual get to the right people quickly. Whether or not there's a good quality conversation at the end of that, that's a different story, I guess. But yeah, I hope that vaguely answers your question.
No, it does. And you mentioned earlier about you taking a different approach in terms of the kind of people you're going to be hiring in the future. So what will you be looking for in your team for your future hires?
So now I can take the sort of technical aspect out of it. And for me, it's all about finding someone with drive, determination, passion, and good communication skills. As long as they have those things, we've got a piece of software now that takes the sort of real challenging and technical part of the role away, or at least a large chunk of it anyway. So in terms of looking for individuals for my team and my business, it's given me a lot more flexibility. And it also means, as a business, we've been able to take advantage of the apprenticeship levy a lot more. And a large percentage of the new recruits that are coming through at the moment are going on the apprenticeship scheme, and we've had a lot of success with the apprenticeships completing those, and not only starting, but getting up to speed quickly. They're starting, we've seen a lot of apprentices that are already topping leaderboards in certain areas and going on our big dog trips where they go away to a European city. So previously it was kind of unheard of that you'd have really, really junior, inexperienced members of staff winning awards, whereas now we're starting to see that happen.
Okay, good. And so new recruiter coming into the business, if they've worked for other organisations, they haven't come through the apprenticeship route with ARM, what will they probably have to do differently now to kind of embrace that technology?
Well, I think the key word's embrace and invest time, because we've seen it here, and I'm sure you'll see it, with every business. If you do move forward with a piece of software like this, you'll get experienced recruiters and people that are comfortable with the way they know works, and processes that they've been used to and lived and breathed for however many of years. So we've had it here where there's been a couple of individuals that are phenomenal recruiters. They know their stuff inside out, but just are really reluctant to embrace change. And unless you do that, again, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it within your businesses, unless you embrace that change, slowly you'll see them sort of slip down and fall behind the curve. And I think that's the danger if you don't embrace something like this. Boolean and skill searching is going to be the thing of the past at some point over the next few years. Whether they embrace it now or have to later, they're only going to lose themselves, potentially a career and money if they don't embrace it sooner rather than later.
Okay, good answer. And this is another thing that's been playing on my mind. Many recruitment teams, whether it's agency side or in-house, will often have a structure where you've got your recruiters or your recruiter business partners, whatever you call them, and they're often supported by resources.
Yeah.
What do you feel a tool like Pocket Recruiter is going to mean for the role of a resourcer?
A couple of things, I guess. It gives a business flexibility. So for some business models, I guess you could tighten up the amount of recruiters or resources that you have in the business, because the consultants don't have to spend as much time sourcing candidates. They've with something like this, I guess it frees up a lot more time to then do a lot of business development and new business sales calls. The need for resources have been due to a large influx of requirements coming through, and your 360 guys, your consultants, don't have the time to fill them. So as I mentioned in the presentation earlier, we've been able to churn through a lot more vacancies a lot more quickly as a result of this software. So you could potentially reduce the amount of resources you have, or you could do something like we are, and that's evolve the role itself, have a lot more social media interaction and just build the vacancy from there.
Okay, excellent. One last question from me before we open up to everybody else. It's an interesting one. Is Pocket Recruiter able to work with LinkedIn? Can it search talent that's on there?
Not currently, no. Speaking with the guys that develop it, because they, as we were the first team to sort of try it in ARM, they're constantly asking for advice on anything else that can be changed, which has been phenomenal, to be honest, because the systems we've had in place up to now have been, fit for purpose. You can't amend anything, whereas these guys have been really open to developing it for a recruiter. So they're in talks about how they can use their software to manage search results on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, as you probably expect, are very, very controlling over what they will allow you to do with APIs and whatnot. So the way I think they're planning on tackling it, and this is just through conversations, is that you'd run your search results and then they'd be able to use their software to almost categorize those candidates and those profiles and grade them and put them in order of most suitable to not. So I think it would be able to go out and scale LinkedIn and bring the results back. But by the sounds of it, they're working on something at the moment whereby it's going to save time in the essence that you'd be able to bring back the more relevant search results in your search at the top, if that makes sense.
Okay, good. Right, let's go to the audience. I'm going to work down these in no particular order. So the first question we've got is from P. Myers. He or she, I don't know, would like to know how well the tool works internationally. So above and beyond your region, for example, I guess you're covering primarily the UK, Richard, is that right?
Yeah, mainland Europe and UK mainly.
Mainland Europe, okay. So does the tool work equally well internationally as it does for the UK?
Yeah, so far, I've not seen any difference, to be honest. I mean, the bulk of the work we have would be in Germany, and we have a little bit in Spain, Italy as well. And although you'll see cultural differences, that's where perhaps this could probably help. I think it's the key part is it learns. So regardless of what the role is, whether it's international cultural differences that you're looking for, whether it's a type of skill set, starting with, you may need to invest some time, but so far we've had no issues in using it on any aspect of any role. It's only going to be good on how good it is going to be dependent on two things. The first thing is how good the job description is, and how good information you put in the software. And the other thing is what you're searching. So it's been used at the moment within our business, searching our own database, which has been built for well over 20 years. So we've got a huge database to search from, as well as job site at the moment. And hopefully that increases in terms of how that links in with other job boards. But those are the two things that are going to be the key sort of indicators of how good your search results are going to be.
What about CVs and candidates that are operating in different languages?
Different languages we haven't used, to be honest. All of the roles we've used have all been in English. So we've recruited for positions within Germany, Spain, Italy, but they've all been in a UK language. So in other language, I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. So I'll have to go away and find out for you.
Okay. No worries. We could perhaps answer that offline. Okay, excellent. Got a question here from Jacob. So he says that a 15% increase on perm placements is good, but I guess based on those initial statistics, he's suggesting it could have been even higher. Do you guys expect the numbers to keep improving and to get even better numbers going forward?
Yeah, I do. Simply because we've seen an increase over 8 months. Now, in that 8 months, we've only seen a percentage of just over 100 vacancies, let's say. 100 placements, sorry. We've made a hell of a lot more placements over the course of 20 years. So once we get a lot more data in this thing, it's just going to get more and more accurate. And the roles that do come through, I guess, less frequently, as soon as we get those come through 2 or 3 times, and it's reviewing the whole lot, I think it's going to get better and better. This is, the thing to bear in mind with this, it's only been looking at engineering-based roles for the last 8 months, and we've already in a position where we've increased our performance. And that's during a period where we've had to teach it a new skill set. We've had to learn the system ourselves as well. We've had a lot going on within our business, yet we've still seen that sort of percentage increase. Being the sort of hesitant Brits that we are, we didn't trust the whole it'll come in and make the whole world better from day one. So rather than give Pocket Recruiter all of our historical placement data, we wanted to try it out in a really raw state. So we started from scratch, hence probably why it's only an increase of 15%, although I was quite happy with that, to be honest. So yeah, I think if you start off in a place where you're giving them all the historical stuff, it's going to bring up to speed a hell of a lot more quickly than we had.
Excellent. And Scott McSween has asked a question as well. Do you think that rate of improvement eventually will plateau? Yeah,
of course, with anything. I mean, it's allowing us to pick up more vacancies and get through more vacancies and work in other areas, but there's only so much you can do. And there's being a technical recruitment business, there's only so many roles we want to look at as well. So I think once we get to a point whereby we're happy with the number of staff for a certain area, happy with our client base, it's going to plateau and we're going to maintain a level. But it just means that for the people that are working those roles and at that point, they're going to be the happiest because they've got tools in place that mean they can get on and do the bit that they enjoy, and that's building relationships.
Excellent. So I've got a question here from Arvind, Krishna, Murthy. He or she says, AI, in my knowledge, is based on keywords. If so, how do you differentiate between an IT professional and an IT recruiter? You could probably answer this more scientifically than me because you've been using Pocket Recruiter, but I think the point of AI and particularly machine learning is that it isn't based on keywords. It's based on much more depth of understanding of the role. Is that right?
Yeah, and again, I'm not technically diverse in this field, but in the way that Randy and Bell, the creators, have explained it to me, it's you know, it will pick out keywords within the job description, but it's going off, it's looking at what that word and term means, looking at descriptions online. It goes away and looks at blogs to get a good understanding and core understanding of what those words actually mean, and associates them with other things. So it's not just pulling out keywords and then matching those keywords in a CV like you would a Boolean. It's doing a lot more than that behind the scenes. Again, I'm not technical enough to give you the whole sort of detail around semantics and everything like that, but it's, you know, they confused me. That's normally a good sign that it's a lot more technical than just keywords.
Good. A question from Will Dennis here. Did your recruiters buy into Pocket Recruiter straight away, and was there any pushback at all from any of them?
Yeah, I mean, my team are probably one of the more positive teams. You know, we've been closely in that team, don't have any turnover, and there are a couple of guys in there that were hesitant. You know, they're the ones that I guess were really big advocates of LinkedIn and have had a lot of success through LinkedIn. So again, the sort of longer serving recruiters that are, you know, really used to the ways that they found work, they were the harder ones to get on board and get using the software. But as soon as you start to see success come from that, and how quickly you could churn through your database and your the other job boards as well, you know, soon enough they were starting to use it. But I think with anything, it was expected, and we were expecting it from the start. But yeah, I think naturally we as humans we'd like to stick to what we're used to and what we're comfortable with, and moving outside that comfort zone and investing time isn't always at the front of our minds.
Excellent. Really good question here from Chris W. So there's lots of talk about AI in recruitment at the moment, and it really is a buzzword. It's everywhere, and he can definitely see its advantages. Could you see, however, it leading to some lazy recruitment? So recruiters not being skilled in searching, relying too heavily on Pocket Recruiter? Or do you see it going the other way? And he might be feeding you an answer here, in terms of it driving a more consultative approach with candidates and hiring managers and being more strategic?
Definitely the second of the two. The reason being, honestly, I had a conversation with a guy in my team literally this week, and it was around when we started the project and why people, because we were the first team to trial it, other teams have started a lot later than us, and I can see it happening in other teams whereby people aren't using it as much as others, and those other people's the other people that aren't using it so much are sticking to things like LinkedIn. And we had a conversation and ended up agreeing on it that that's the lazy method of recruiting. It's much easier to sit there, scroll through some profiles on things like LinkedIn and job boards, select a few, send a couple of messages and wait for a response. Whereas really, using something like this is going to make you much more of a grafter, because you're not having to sit there waiting for a candidate to come up in a search, every single one of them. And honestly, we've sat there, put a job spec in, tweaked a few things, and it's match. So you're going to have to get on the phone and speak to, you know, potentially 15, 20 people in a row for a technical role. And you're going to have to graft and build, you know, good quality conversations and relationships with those people. So yeah, although I do 100% agree it's going to be the latter, I think that's the reason being. I think people are starting to get lazy because of the use of social media, and it's an easier option in my opinion.
You've got no excuses, no hiding. The candidates are actually there. They're in front of you, and it's a case of working through them and having quality conversations.
Yeah.
Another question here from Jacob. He said, have you seen much in the way of repeat business because of the accuracy and the speed that you can now provide by using Pocket Recruiter from clients?
Yeah, we have actually. Not only that, from candidates as well. We've had a lot more referrals from contractors, especially referring other contractors to us for other jobs, as well as repeat business on client vacancies as well. Because it's not just the getting to candidates more quickly. We're also having better conversations with candidates and having more options at the time on that call. Again, I've raised it a couple of points because it's been one of the best, and you know, for the guys on the floor, when they're speaking to a candidate, we've got teams, we're an automotive based teams, and we've got teams within aerospace, defense, rail, and you'll get quite often, you know, transfers between those industries, and the guys are speaking to candidates and, you know, able to look at exactly what other jobs are suitable for that candidate. And, you just sound like you know what you're talking about, and you have a lot more options. It sounds like you're a lot more connected. And from a client point of view, you know, what more do you want than the best candidate that's available at that time, you know, as quickly as possible, and it certainly does that.
And are you telling all your clients and candidates that you are using Pocket Recruiter? Do they know that you're supercharged by this tool now?
Yeah, 100%. Because it's, you know, ultimately it's a unique selling point. I've only known ARM from a recruitment standpoint. I've been here for quite a while now, but so I don't know, you know, how many other businesses have embraced sort of machine learning and AI, but I don't know many of my competitors that are using something similar to this. So it's a massive selling point for us to go out to our clients. And we've actually, you know, been ballsy enough to go and say, test us, you know, we're that confident. But it's also, you know, a really good reason to get involved with your clients a bit more, because I can go to them now and say, look, I've got this amazing piece of kit where if you give me the CV of the guy that last did the job, or give me, you know, a really good description of the manager, I can just put it in here, and it's going to, you know, based on that, bring back similar selections, or give me the last few, let's select them, and then we'll be able to show you exactly who's around that's like that. So you're giving confidence in them that it's not just you, you've got this awesome bit of kit that's going to look at who they've had previously and bring them back similar people.
Excellent. So a good question here from Akai Kako. Apologies, Akai, if I pronounce any of that incorrectly. Do you see any changes you need to do due to the upcoming GDPR, so data protection rules? Will there be less searching of your own database versus live searches, for example?
All honesty, Alan, I honestly don't know how to answer that question, because it's something I haven't thought a huge amount about up to now. Kind of living in the here and now, we have a good legal team that advises what we should and shouldn't do, but I don't know how much of a change it will, or impact it will have on a business. I guess the benefit is with this is that you can switch it on and off for the tools and databases that it's searching. So if there were areas that you need to be a bit more sensitive, you've got the option to be able to do that. But other than that, I'm not too sure. Ultimately,
I guess ultimately, as long as the data sources that you're searching are falling within lines of the regulations of GDPR, then Pocket Recruiter shouldn't be doing anything it shouldn't be doing, in theory. Okay, cool. Really good question here from Jason Trotter. He said, does the system learn from outside of your organization as well? Or does every agency have to teach it from scratch?
Yeah, no.
Or every in-house recruitment team?
No, so I guess for people that, you know, if they were interested in Pocket from an engineering perspective, they've got the fact that we've learned a lot, and it's learned a lot of the sort of skill sets and everything that we've taught it. What it won't do is look at specific client data. So you've almost got your own pocket within your own little world. So none of the data will be shared across any other companies, but in terms of the learning, that learning will be used across any platform. So that's part of Pocket.
Okay, excellent. Do you mind if we've got 5 minutes? We'll try and get through a couple more questions. Good one here from anonymous attendee. I'm assuming that's not a real name. Which job boards or social media does Pocket Recruiter search? Do you specify them, or does Pocket Recruiter come with access to those channels?
So as far as I know at the moment, Pocket have Career Builder and Job Site that it's currently hooked into, which will come as part of it. I believe that at the moment they're in discussions with a number of other job boards to look at getting APIs into them as well. So again, we were the first business within the UK, I believe, to start using Pocket Recruiter. So it's a new field and environment for them. So it's currently being built, but so far so good.
Okay. But on a few more. My understanding though is you can only search the job boards that you have got access to as an organisation. Yes. Is that right? It's not built into Pocket Recruiter. You've got to have access yourself as an organisation, yes, and the relevant licenses, etc.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Another great question here. This one's from Jason as well. This is a common concern of developers, certainly. Can it tell the difference between Java and JavaScript?
Oh, I need to get one of the IT guys in here. I'll give you the answer to that after the session. We'll send them the answer if that's okay. I know the IT guys said that one of the biggest bugbears they had was something around C# and C++ and searching for those sort of things in Booleans, and they now don't have to worry about all of that. So I would guess it's all fine now, but let me double check with him after this, and we'll send the answer to them if that's all right.
Yeah, I think that's a curveball. I imagine it does. That would be a big thing to sort out. So last question then. So how much support have you had from the Pocket Recruiter team to make sure you were getting the most out of it? Yeah,
non-stop, to be fair. Randy, one of the co-founders, probably the most energetic human I've ever met in my life. I've sent him emails forgetting about the time difference, and he still sort of replies at what would be 2 o'clock in the morning. They've got a good support team. They've worked well with our IT guys to integrate it. So yeah, you can't fault it, to be honest. They've been pretty good. And as I said, we're running a little sort of function group that meet up every couple of weeks to discuss any improvements that could be made, how people are finding it in the business. Then we feed that back to Pocket, and they discuss with us and say, actually, yeah, we really agree, that's a great idea. So we're going to add that into the next release. So in 2 weeks, that's going to be part of Pocket, and you'll be able to do that.
Excellent. So exactly the kind of relationship you'd hope for. You're being listened to as a customer, yeah. And changes are being made based on what you guys want to get out of it. Excellent. Well, listen, Richard, thank you so much for that. I do have a thing where I always try and finish these a little bit early if we can, because we've got lots of busy people on the line, no doubt wanting to get back to their busy jobs. So a really big thank you from me and the team at Chat Talent for your time, Richard. It's been really insightful. I've learned an awful lot over this session, and I'm sure I can talk on behalf of all the delegates, the attendees who've come along, and I'm hoping they all feel the same.
No, awesome. Enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. So thank you, everybody, for coming along. I'll get some details out to you after the call in terms of how you can find out more about Pocket Recruiter. And I'll also shoot over some details on next Chat Talent session next week, which has also got an AI and machine learning theme, but concentrates on the assessment of candidates. So quite different to what we've been talking about today, but also very, very important. So thanks again, and hopefully see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.